Welcome to Conversation for the Soul. Today I have Anne Ferrel-Cox, a conduit for creation and a very good friend of mine, as well as a very new and dear friend of mine, Joy Anderson, who is an author and a spiritual activist. And you know what? We have these monthly calls and they are so profound and so amazing. We all decided, why are we keeping this to ourselves? We need to share this with everyone else. So here we are today. And before we got on here, Joy was sharing her excitement for what's going on, bubbling up inside of her right now. So I will let you kick it off, Joy.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm so grateful to be here. We've just finished 2 weeks of spring break here in British Columbia, Canada. And with that comes an intensity of family. I've got grandchildren who I adore, and the busyness crept in, and I was immersed in that familial experience. And I like balance. And when I don't have balance, I feel off. And so I'm grateful today, and I feel the excitement of gathering this triangulation and feeling the 3 points of the triangulation, much like the spiritual hierarchy. So with the spiritual hierarchy, we hold the archangelic leagues of light, the angelic hosts and kingdoms, and the ascended masters, who are I'm not going to say the major, but they are very major in supporting this Earth's evolutionary process into this new world. And it's funny because once in a while actually I'm lying, all the time I watch Downton Abbey, and I look at that era of the early 1900s, and I see where all of this got kick-started, where they talk about the new world after World War I. And here we are talking again about this new world. And I think it's a continuation of that prep for this realization of the truths of this new world. So here we are together, in my excitement, in my gratitude, in my honor to both of you for including me, for allowing our voices to be heard as one voice. So thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate your wisdom, and we're so honored that you have joined with us. And there's two things you've said this morning that have been on my mind, and one was truth. You opened up with an invocation of showing us the truth, and I think that seems to be a theme playing out here. What is truth, universal truth or subjective truth? Then the other theme seems to be this birthing cycle that we're on continuum. Right now, we're in a new cycle of rebirth. So I think those are all subjects that hopefully we can get some guidance and clarity on.
If I may, I just finished doing the last week of work with some students who really aren't students anymore. They've graduated out of the nest. And the wisdom that came through was the value and the importance of all light workers of the fifth dimensional frequency to recognize their ego, and to recognize that the divine universe is going to impact us with exaggerated ego right now. So we can look at it and let it go completely. And the divine is telling me and those that I work with that this is the moment between now and mid-September for us to really work on releasing all forms of ego, whether it's hate, jealousy, judgment, vanity, competition. It will not be tolerated. That's what I'm hearing. There will be zero tolerance for any form of ego. And with that, I'm going, woohoo, yes, finally, let's recognize it and let it go from the bad meat that's in our sandwich. That's how I see it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we talked about it last time, but Allison and I are always talking about this separation that you speak of. And to me, when there's resistance in my life, that shows me where I need work, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling something here. So my perspective is I'm going to dive in and see where I feel the resistance. And I seem to hear a lot of talk in the community about something doesn't resonate with me. And to me, that's the opposite. If I don't resonate with something, I want to figure out why I don't resonate with it instead of pushing away from it. So what would be your perspective on that?
I think that, well, what I call it is ghost memory. I love that phrase because these ghost memories are coming from triggers, whether it's in the workplace or family place or community place. We're often triggered by an event, a person, place, or thing that will trigger a response. That response will respond in resistance. And if we can sit in meditation or go for a walk on the earth mother, we will receive what that resistant picture looks like. And we can, it's so simple right now because it is a ghost. The karma is gone, the storyline is gone. It's just a matter of viewing it on our imaginary screen in our third eye, and then washing it away, wiping it away, removing it, so that it doesn't return. And if it keeps returning, which sometimes it does in a dream, then we need to support that removal with a facilitator of healing. So it might need something more. Perhaps it's resonating as a particle or a molecule or an atom in our energy field, and it is resisting. So
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, just start off with the simplicity. Keep it simple, and if it is not going, then find a healer who will help remove it, and it will be removed back to source.
So what you're speaking of that's happening between now and September, this, the truth coming out, the releasing of the ego and judgments and all of that, I'm certainly being revisited with a lot of that lately. It's really coming up, and it's making me examine why am I separating from the general population,
I think that I think, Allison, the separation is not separation, but duality. And,
yes,
I love the analogy. I use analogies all the time because it gives me a visual reference. So I think of a sandwich. All right. So, or the two-sided coin. And on one side, we have the good, and on the other, we have the bad. And that is our duality. And duality won't leave the planet because we have gravity, we have denseness, we have a link to the Earth Mother's core crystallized wisdom. But it will soften, the duality will soften, and will recognize the oneness in separation, the oneness in duality. But right now, we're getting rid of what I call the ugly inside the sandwich. We need to squash it, remove it. We need to release it, dissolve it. We need to resolve it, dissolve it. And to embrace the good and the bad, to love the good and the bad, but to recognize the ugly as no longer part of our journey.
What's bringing this on right now? What's the catalyst for it, if there is any, and why is September a prominent time period?
Okay, and my son always says, "Mom, stop giving dates."
Right, I know.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, I need those time frames, and a time frame can be shortened or lengthened depending on the collective. And so what we've experienced here was the progression from the winter solstice to the spring equinox. And the spring equinox really activated all of the fifth dimensional light workers, those fifth dimensional light workers are those humans from the human races who have chosen to elevate their consciousness and move forward together in this oneness of duality and to discover their own mission statement. So right now, a lot of fifth dimensional beings are newbies, what I call beginners or newbies, and they've just metamorphosized out of their cocoon, and they're all over the place. And because they're dazed and confused, remember the movie Dazed and Confused, it's really old, they're dazed and confused, and in a sense, our fifth dimensional walking zombies. And so the divine is saying, okay, we need to activate them. And so the activations always come from the outer worlds. They come like scalar waves or electrical currencies through the earth. And that earth that surrounds the core is a second dimension of movement, of pulses. We'll call them earth pulses. And so these outer dimensional electrical currencies come through the third dimensional expression of existence, because it's spiritual, into the second dimensional reality of the earth, and move into the core crystalline Akashic record of the Earth Mother. And this first dimension is iron ore crystal that needs to be activated. And then once that's activated from the outer worlds, she sends it out through that second dimension, through the third and fourth collective dimension into us. Each one of us receives it individually so that we can wake up to a higher consciousness, wake up to an expanded sense experience, wake up to the journey of oneness. So I think that we're all just being poked and prodded and advised. And the poking and prodding is, if we don't get it right away, it'll become stronger and stronger. I have experienced this throughout my life, where if I don't get it, I get a bonk on the head. And if I don't get the bonk in the head, it'll result in a crisis. So Does that make sense?
Yep. School of Hard Knocks here.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm an extremist. Oh my God.
But what I love what you brought up was when I'm new on the journey. That's why I was so honored that you agreed to collaborate with me, because I love your wisdom. But all the energy that I had when I first woke up was just amazing. Like, oh my God, how did I do all these things? I was up all night channeling and working all day, and just all the information that I downloaded was probably there, but I activated it in such a short time. So now that I've become more balanced in my expression, I kind of miss that aspect of me that was just so in love with every new thing. So that's a great expression of all these new people, that they can add their energy to this light grid that we've created. So I've been busy doing work on the grid. So I've been in San Diego, Minneapolis, and Denver. And so I connect with the energy of the cities, just like you said, and it's just amazing the differences. And right now, San Diego seemed to be off the charts, and snow has blanketed the US. There's snow everywhere, which is very unusual for this time of the year. So something is definitely shifting in the earth.
When you say that, information automatically comes in, and the words I'm hearing is it's on a freeze. So when I hear it's on a freeze, it's on hold. It needs to be on hold for some reason, some outer worldly divine intervention, perhaps. I wouldn't say that word if it wasn't coming through. So there's some form of intervention going on, which has everything and everybody on a freeze.
And
So
I feel that.
yeah, that is really cool. You know, we up here in the Okanagan, north of Vancouver, we've had year after year of fires like California, where, you know, the internal, external has been burned off, burned off, burned off, burned off. And so the work is continual for those that work with the Earth Mother. And I'm saying this not lightly, because everybody, okay. So Anne, first of all, I want to say that we all wake up when we're ready, right? And when we do, hopefully we have the joyous experience that you had and I had, because it was like a whoa, oh my God, what is this? But there's a buildup to get to that place. And not everybody now will have that whoa. They will wake up depending on what's within their blueprint, what they're now calling a streamline. So for some, it'll be a momentary, like a moment of expression. For others, it'll be little bits and pieces, like a puzzle coming together. But not one of us is better than the other. And this is the ego that we're talking about, to recognize that it doesn't matter who woke up first, second, third. You know, we're all part of this experience where we were all invited here. And for those, we each have, some of us have multifaceted missions. And I look at my life as that, but some of us have very specific missions. And for those that are working within the earth, around the earth, on the earth, with the animals of the earth, nature of the earth, are going to find that they will feel that significance like you felt when you go to the cities. Some of the cities will bombard them and they'll go away feeling dizzy and heavy, and they'll have to go home and clean it out. They're acting like sponges, and they'll absorb all that negativity or that excess that is no longer needed. And others will go to those cities and be multifaceted and clean it out, but provide the light. So you're providing the wisdom, the light, the coding, but you're also taking home the excess. So it's pretty heavy duty work.
It is a very difficult assignment.
Yeah. Well, I think it's wonderful. I think everything is wonderful, no matter how heavy it is, because we're all protected. We're all guided and we're all protected.
It's an honor to do the work. And as I asked you about when we first spoke, is I see the lights, and I've been encapsulated in a green light for months and months and months, not all the time, but just when I need it. So I trust that we are protected.
Yeah. And I see that light as very emerald, effervescent, shining neon, bright, bright, bright. And when you go to a city, it's just not one tiny pocket of the city. It encompasses the parameter of the city. It's huge, and it will just get bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you'll see arms and legs shooting out from that parameter, connecting with all the little boroughs and towns and villages. And all of them will begin to light up, just like you said, you're creating a grid, and I see it as a giant matrix. And so once all of this is lined up like a ley line, it becomes, oh gosh, like an amusement center, you know, where you go to a playground and everything, like the World's Fair, it's all lit up. Once that's lit up, it starts communicating with the outer worlds. And then the galactic federations are more apt or more willing or more able to come to that land area and show themselves in a form of density, which they really have done sporadically, but they don't want to be sporadic anymore. They want to be seen. They want us to see them, which is awesome. So amazing. Amazing.
I'm just grateful that my work entails being in nature and not all the cities that Anne has to go to. That's a lot of work.
It is. It's a tremendous, it can be, I think if we allow those ghost memories to get in the way, it becomes a burden. And so we have to work and work and work on getting rid of the ghost memories, and allow the burden to lift and bring the joy in. And we all have wings on our back between the shoulder blades, and just let them expand and get bigger. I know you see the wings, and if everybody allows themselves to fly and not to be afraid, we won't be put to death any longer. We won't be put asunder. The planet's not going to dissolve or go under like Atlantis and Lemuria. So those experiences are what we hold inside of us. They're in our DNA. And I think that for many, it's part of the ghost memory, that fear of expression, fear of speech, free of being the activist or the healer or the leader. We need to allow our voices to sing our true song, our truth song.
Now, when you say ghost memories, just so anybody listening may understand, do you mean like past life memories?
Yes.
Okay.
They can be past, present, and future. And when I say present, they're memory from this particular lifetime that resonate with past lifetimes that are showing themselves now in order to be healed. We've brought forward very specific patterns to this lifetime to look at and resolve and dissolve. So it's all linked. And of course, the past, present, and future are all one. And so it's connected to the future. So as we change these past experiences or expressions of life, we will support and perhaps shift our future. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's overwhelming if you really think about it. I mean, the work that everybody is doing here is beyond imagination. And yet there is this deep, deep knowing. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I don't know if I believe it, but yeah, I get it.
And is the best way to help these newbies that are coming out just to lead by example, or is there something more we could be doing?
What we're doing will support them. To lead by example, absolutely. To have them begin a meditation, a very simple meditation process. Walk in nature, absolutely, every day, connecting with the Earth Mother. But anybody can do this very short meditation where they sit on a chair. If they're hospitalized, they can lie in a bed. But to breathe maybe 5 seconds in order to relax. Move the head, Relax the neck and the head. Breathe. And then visualize a white light coming through the crown chakra, moving through the body and moving down the legs, out the feet, taking that white light that revolves around the spinal cord, down the legs, through the feet, through the skin, the crust of the earth, all the way through the layers of the earth, into the core, the center of the earth, which we call the core crystalline wisdom. So you literally take this visualized white light through the body and plug in to the earth center. Plug in, link in, connect to. We all have different ways of using our visualization. And if we can't use our visualization, use the knowing. I'm just doing it. I'm creating an intent. And then bringing that light force back up through the feet, up the legs, through the body, out the crown, and into the universal oneness. That's it. 5 seconds. Relax. Visualize. Feel that light column moving through the body. Another 5 seconds of breath when you're linking in. And come back up, move it out. When we move that light out through the crown, there's this golden dome that surrounds us automatically because we've created an axis. The axis is resonant with the Earth Mother's axis. So there's a connection to the earth and there's a connection to the divine, creating a golden dome of millions of filaments of gold thread that surround us. And they keep us encased in light. Light is the wisdom. There's the wisdom. 5 minutes. So simple. If we can get the newbies, the beginners, to begin this process without fear, do a 5-minute meditation, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, if willing. Walk in nature 20 minutes. Automatically, you're connecting with the earth, planting the seeds, drinking lots of water so it flushes the toxicity from the body and the mind, releasing the negative thoughts by washing them away, and just commanding that they go. I command and demand, out, go home, whatever word works. And living consciously in the heart by expressing love. Now, there may be many light workers who are new to this program that do not love themselves. Many of us on the planet have been enticed into forms of addiction. And through that, there is shame and guilt. And so there needs to be forgiveness on a regular basis, like an affirmation. Anne writes these affirmations and prayers, thousands of them on a daily basis. These can be said over and over and over daily. And that is the beginning of forgiveness that creates love inside and around the body. And we must begin to love ourselves 100%.
I would love if Anne has a prayer on self-love to post it under this video, because the people that I work with, it's the biggest thing. When I connect it with their higher selves for a reading or something, it's like I'm hit with, please tell her to love herself. She doesn't need to do it all. She is perfect and whole just the way she is. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes.
But it's even when I'm saying it back to the person I'm working with, they're just like, I know. And it's like, they feel like they need to be last all the time.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking.
It really is. I mean, I grew up as a baby boomer and developed a hate system towards myself. And so for the majority of my life, it wasn't that I didn't love myself, I hated myself. I considered myself fraudulent. The inside wasn't matching the outside. All right, we all can relate to that. And then when I started to work with my Lord Archangel Michael many, many years ago, I would have been in my 40s. I recognized that I needed to say an affirmation every day, all day. And how I did this is through meditation. And I discovered I needed to ask myself, what is the one true thing that I know about myself? One true thing, one. And all I knew was I am a good person. I knew that to be true. Even though I hated myself, I knew I was a good person, which is bizarre. So I said that every day throughout the day, but it took 2 years, 2 full years before I woke up one morning and went, oh my God, I love myself.
My heart is literally just bursting listening to you say that. And there, I agree with both of you, because one thing that I had to learn discernment with is I can see everyone in their divinity. And I realized there wasn't anything wrong with me. I was just seeing them in their wholeness, no matter what they were presenting to me in this expression. So you have to realize that sometimes people cannot see, and look at how amazing you are, and you didn't love yourself. But when I speak to people, Alleson, like you, the first thing is you have to forgive yourself for whatever has happened prior to now, because you can't move in any direction until you do that.
Yeah.
I will say a prayer, though, that I'll attach another one, but I think this is the best prayer that I share with everyone. It's holy, holy, holy love, sacred love. Take over my soul of expression, guide my being to your perfection. My life is your love, and I thank you. So that anyone can say that, and you can say it 100 times a day or however many times a day to realize that you are whole and you are holy, no matter how you choose to express yourself on this day.
Yeah.
Don't you think part of this whole thing too, it's like the feminine carries this?
Yes.
I mean, somehow it was bestowed upon us against our will. I don't know when, maybe Joy could speak to that, or Anne, but you know, and now it's like the release of that is coming and needs to come and be done.
Yeah. Nothing is against our will. I need that loud and clear for everybody. Everybody has free will. There's a choice in every thought.
Is that like a dark force thing, though, that was put upon us?
Yes.
I guess I didn't phrase it correctly.
Okay. And when I look at the history of the Earth Mother, I like to go back 300,000 years, but most of us focus on the last 2,500, maybe 25,000. And during that last cycle, we experienced the majesty of the fifth dimension in Lemuria, on Lemuria. We've all existed during that creation of Earth civilization, human Earth civilization, when we were at that time galactic civilizations. And through the historical expression of the Earth, I consider at that time her essence of being. Her soul mission was to act as a teacher, and the teacher always allows free will. And so she allowed the good, the bad, the ugly to come to this earth place as an experience, not necessarily an experiment, but as an experience of how we could colonize together cohesively. And what happened is the outer world dark forces didn't like it. It was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, this is not going to happen on that planet. How can the dinoids and the reptoids and the humans coexist together peacefully? How does that happen? Well, they were existing in a fifth dimensional frequency, a vibration of peace and harmony. And so there began an interference by these dark lords that started to create a mission to destroy what was existing. And so it created a removal, not at that time. The galactic federations of light were able to remove the dinoid and the reptoid civilizations from this planet, but there still existed the seeds, right? If the seeds are planted, they grow until the seeds are removed. And we have removed them now, like they're gone. That's why everybody needs to let go of the fear. But from that experience, there was a creation of Atlantis and a warring of territory. The duality became very strong. There started to not only become warring of territory, but technological experiences started to become more prevalent until they became stronger and stronger. A lot of mutations occurred of the soul. This is a giant story that we could talk about another time, but bottom line is Atlantis went asunder. It went under, but we all hold that dark memory. And what came out of that was the control of the planet. And what came out of the control of the planet was a patriarchal society. And what came out of that was a repression of the goddess. And so we have lived within that experience of repression for a very, very long time. And the Earth Mother, in her beauty and wisdom, said, I'm done, no more. We have a plan, I have a contract, I'm going to rebirth, but I need these beautiful human civilization souls to reincarnate to this planet so that we can work together. And so she invited us all back, all those that are very, very evolved, that remember not only Atlantis, but Lemuria. We all hold everything within us, even before then. And so we arrived with pure knowing, wide awake, but we arrived in a third dimensional frequency of authority, of patriotism. And so we started to squash ourselves, right? Authority started to squash us, family, education, politics, you name it, you name it, you name it, economics. It all started to make us very small because those dark forces still wanted to control the planet. They still had memory of what they needed. So we became very separated. That's why the journey, look at me, I'm scratching, going, let me breathe here. Woo, woo. But that's part of my journey and my work. And so we have succeeded. Those dark lords have been removed. The dark forces over time have been removed. The lost souls are being removed. The entities over time will be removed. Everything that is of an old story, a third dimensional surround the earth story, will be removed, but in a very peace and harmony way. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. everybody who was invited, whether or not they could evolve into the fifth dimension, will be rewarded. It doesn't matter who we are. And that is the key to no judgment. And with that knowledge comes understanding, forgiveness. Oh, I get it. Okay, I'll let it go. It's just a story. I'll let it go. I can forgive myself. It's just a story. I'll let it go. I was part of that story, the good, the bad, and the ugly, both male and female. But in this lifetime, for some reason, we all have been invited to reincarnate as females to bring back the goddess, which was wholly activated during the harmonic convergence of the planet in 1987, 88, 89. So we could take our power back, and the Earth Mother could begin her looping, her photon belt towards the Sirius Cyrus constellation. So we can again remember that higher frequency of existence, and remember that we can travel into all these 9 dimensions that exist on this planet, which is so cool. So everybody will slowly wake up to this realization. Oh, all right, my feelings are collectively in the 4th dimension, but my heart exists here in the 5th dimension. And my reality is that I can travel to any dimension. It's beyond. But the first step is understanding, wow, that was quite a journey and we made it. And now can we walk forward, one baby step at a time? Pretty simple.
Well,
Maybe.
as you were saying that, I was thinking, and I just did a post on it yesterday about how they were so sophisticated at using our ego and thought forms to make us our own enemy, essentially, right?
Yes.
And that can even happen on days when we're tired and we are not watching our energy. Those same thoughts will infiltrate, just like you said, no matter what dimension. Who knows, maybe I'm tired and I'm, down in the 3rd dimension one day and I start having these same feelings about myself. But we have to realize that we're in charge of that, right? We have to realize our own worth and that we're ascending and we're perfect no matter how we're feeling in that moment. And we just have to honor our souls.
Yes, absolutely. Honor the soul. I love the analogy of letting my soul drive my car. And I have a beautiful car. So I let my soul drive the car, but I let my personality, my ego, my good ego, be the passenger beside the driver. And that I put all the unruly ego in the back seat. And they are clamoring to be heard. And like you said, once in a while, it'll pop in. It's a judgment of self or others. Mm-hmm. And I just go, no, off you go, into the back seat, back to bed, go home, out of my mind. Mm-hmm. But it takes
you have
practice.
To realize that. And what's so funny is you brought up the story of the car. So one of my first teachers that activated me, the first time we ever got into a discussion that we were at odds with each other, I had a dream that night that we were in a car driving and we couldn't see the way, and we got where we were going just by trusting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It really is the best affirmation, I trust. You know, I am, I trust. Mhm. And we all have bad days. That's
Oh, yeah.
just
Completely.
part of being here. But we want the good to outweigh the bad. And slowly we want the good to really, really outweigh the bad so that we can cope really well with the bad when it pops in. Because it, you know, what we're working on right now, I'm calling it the dead meat inside the sandwich because it's dead weight, it's old story, right? And so that's our goal. If we can just focus on, okay, that's my dead meat, that's my old story, that's my burden, that's my wound, my pain and suffering. I'm going to open the book and let it go home. Sometimes we need help. Laughter, one of the best remedies. I love to cry. And I never could cry. I had to learn how to cry when I was 16 because I was trained not to cry. And so now I cry almost every day. I'll somehow find a way to make myself, because it's excess. It's like I'm squeezing out the world.
That's
It
beautiful.
feels so good to cry.
It does. And to laugh. Yeah.
Levity is my word for this year. Right before every year, I get a word that came in, and this year it was levity. And every day I have to remind myself, find something fun, find something to laugh at.
Yeah, I find that because we are coming out of the COVID-19, we're holding a lot of anxiety still. And the best way for me to release that anxiety is to laugh. So I laugh with the dogs and I laugh with my grandkids, or I'll sit and look out my window and I'll see all the people walking their dogs, riding their bikes, kids out there playing, and it helps release the anxiety because I'm seeing normalcy. I'm seeing what we used to live in, and I'm going, oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
I just am laughing because Allison and I were speaking this week because we are so entrenched into our lives, just like you said, that maybe we're not spending as much time in devotion or nature as we usually do. So when you're out in the world like we are, you see a lot of things that are hard to see, right?
Yes.
So I started saying every time I saw that, you're a master, you're a master, you're a master.
I
You
love
just
that.
don't even know it. You're a master. But then what the guides taught me to do is see my own heart in each soul that I am, presented with. But that seems to be getting harder for me to do. So that's something that I'm trying to work on because everything is really getting expressed in such a visceral way.
Yeah.
Allison, do you have a question about that? I mean,
No, I agree. Anne and I
yeah,
have been talking all week. It's like we're both feeling it for the past couple weeks. It's just like, and I don't know if that's that ego expression that's coming back out again, or if there's something else.
Oh, well, I feel that everything is exaggerated right now. And we go through waves of chaos and order, chaos and order, chaos and order. And this is just part of the Earth Mother's way of releasing what is needed to be released without putting the world into a crisis. Like humans, we cannot go into a health crisis. We have to be very careful that we don't burn ourselves out. We've all done it, and it's not a healthy place to be. Right now, the world, not only do we live in a duality, which hopefully will get softer and softer, but we live in a very separated world. So we are very divided On one side of the fence is the fifth dimensional expression towards peace and harmony. On the other side is the third dimensional expression of what we remember and what we lived in and what is still existent in people, places, and things. And so we could be driving the car, going to the mall, we could be in a grocery store, and all of a sudden we're triggered by someone who is rude or cruel or inappropriate. And we are seeing that human exist as a third dimensional being. And so it is our job as conscious fifth dimensionals to send it love, light, and healing, to try not to judge it. That is very hard.
That is the hardest.
And to not respond to that expression, knowing that all of that is slowly being removed, layer by layer, entity by entity, piece by piece. And so we still have, usually when I need to get rid of something, it comes out as a burp, and I've got a big burp brewing in my belly.
Oh, good job.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Oh, a double burp. Oh my God. So once again, I know that each one of those beings was invited here, either to teach us something or to be part of the light brigade. And there's a lot that is a mystery, and we're not meant to know everything. But I do know that a lot of my beautiful light worker friends have actually sacrificed living in a fifth dimensional frequency to support the expression of those in the third, by helping them cross over, by helping them understand their day-to-day experiences. I am so grateful that it's not me.
Are they aware of it though?
No.
I didn't think so. Right.
For the most part, no. I think that would make it very difficult to be aware. It's a bit like, it would be a bit like, I was in Rome for a month working on the sixth ray removal from the Vatican, and became quite enthralled with Mother Teresa, of course. And so when I got home, I would sit in meditation, and she came to me because she was stuck in purgatory, what I call purgatory. So she, after she crossed over, thought she could drop into that purgatory level on this planet, within this galaxy, and help those who were also stuck come up and out. And she got stuck. So I was able to support that emergence out of there with the light workers. But that's, I think, what would happen if we knew we were dropping into the third dimension. We would get stuck, and we would not be able to come out without the help of the divine.
Well, I can understand that at such an esoteric level, and all the teachings that support being sovereign, right? Like if you fall back into purgatory, I should just keep going on my path, because maybe your path is to go to purgatory, unless you ask for my help to get out of purgatory. When we're in this non-judgment and acceptance, everything just is as it is, and we're looking through the eyes of clarity or Christ consciousness that this is all creation.
Exactly. We don't know someone else's contract. But there are exceptions to the rule, and everybody, if everyone understands, there are exceptions to all the rules. And one of the examples is a neurosurgeon. I can't remember his name right now, but he wrote a book about how he had a stroke and was in a coma, and he dropped into that level of purgatory. But his family stayed with him by his bed 24/7, and he had an experience with a deceased twin. It was either a sister or a twin, and this twin would come to him in purgatory, and he would feel the light somehow of his family, which kept him, I call it head above water. All right, when you're in purgatory, head above water. And they were able divinely together to pull him out, to bring him out of that purgatory state and back into body and out of the coma.
Isn't that the same one that he could hear their prayers?
Probably. I don't remember. I'd have to read the book again, but I was really moved by this experience, and it was teaching me, okay, exceptions to the rule. Just like one of my friends who has made that sacrifice, exception to the rule. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about something. It's kind of along these lines, but I may be taking us off track here. What about those who, how do I say this, are embodying the light worker persona, but perhaps carry some reptilian lineage within them, or ancestry, or that sort of thing? Because I've seen some of that popping up lately. Is that an exception to the rule too, or how does all that fall into place?
I love that. I mean, I look at my life and I see that it's full of everything, so that I can question it, so that I can perhaps do work on it. My youngest sister went through I've done a lot of work with her and on her. So she went through 5 lifetimes previous, where she was supporting, encasing 5 entities. So those same 5 entities carried forward with her over 5 lifetimes, and she came into this lifetime to remove them all. And it caused a lot of damage. It causes a lot of damage. It creates a various addiction. Anyway, she came to me. Remember, we must always ask for permission. And we must always be asked before we can provide. So she did come to me asking to remove the entities and to do healing work on her. Now, everything has, not everything, well, everything has sound, but the entities also have smell. These darker forces, the more dense they get, the stronger the smell. And some people can smell it. It smells like sewer, dog poop. Anyway, we were able to remove all 5 entities from her being, which was amazing. But she was guided to keep her body clean through meditation and walking in nature for 6 months, so that those entities could no longer smell her, because they're like bloodhounds. Now, shortly after that, my mother died, and that created emotional trauma for her, and they all came back.
Ooh.
And not only did they come back to her, but many others went back with them. So they are real. They are connected to previous lifetimes, maybe going back to the beginning of the fall from Atlantis, or maybe through lifetimes throughout the last 25,000 years. it's another story, and we never got into that story other than the storyline of the original 5. And she works very, very hard through religion to keep herself from creating physical disease in her body. So I give her full marks for all the work that she's doing on her own. But I have been guided specifically to not work on her any longer.
It's part of her journey. But what about those that, like, I recently met somebody who is a light worker, and carries a high vibration,
But she's not aware of it. That's what you're saying. She's
yeah,
not
there's
aware
a
of it.
reptilian consciousness in there that's
Yeah.
that I can pick up on, but I don't think that person can. But she's doing a lot of good in the community. So,
well, we all have that reptoid, denoid genetic composition, and we really have had to put it at bay, to bed, dissolve, resolve through a multitude of healing modalities. Everybody is different, so we have to do what is necessary for the individual. The question that I would ask always is this person resonating, vibrating as a 3rd dimensional now, or as a 5th dimensional now? And if they're vibrating as a 5th dimensional now, then she needs to get help. She needs to get help. And there's lots of help out there. But if she is resonating in a 3rd dimension, you need to say goodbye. You can be friends. I have lots of friends who have chosen to stay in that dimension, and we'll have a cup of tea or we'll have a conversation, but it's kept short. And I am in my purple house, sending purple light.
Love the purple.
And as soon as I start to feel like I'm burping, it's like, okay, gotta go.
Well, I just wonder how that can even coexist. It just, at first I didn't believe what I was picking up on. And I'm like, oh, it must be this, must be that. And then I'm like, no.
It hasn't been that long ago where we literally removed that reptilian brainstem. That brainstem at the base of the skull was reptilian, and it has dissolved. It when I see it in the 3rd eye, in my 3rd mind, I see it visually as the tail of a rattlesnake. And that is gone. Gone, 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 gone. But that vibratory frequency, if there's any ego in that person, if there's any attachment to, say, black magic or fear of black magic, it'll vibrate. It's a ghost memory.
Interesting.
It just makes me, I can feel my body contract slightly. When we talk about that, that is an old story that is so dark.
Yeah.
That it automatically makes us want to contract and get smaller. So then I take a breath, expand, bring in the light, and gone. Gone, 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 gone. So when you're doing work like that, or you want to support someone who is releasing that, you really want to use all the tools. And normally tools are not necessary. The intent is all that we need. The prayer, the intent, the affirmation, the mantra. But when it is when we're working with that that old energy. We need to use the old tools, the smudging, the candles, the water, you name it. Everything and anything is like, no, 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 no.
I think
That,
this is something still clearing though, because it is coming up, but if these teachers or healers or whoever aren't aware of it and they're still blaming their outside circumstances on what
yeah.
they're experiencing, they aren't where they should be.
No, they're not where they should be. And that's why the divine consciousness of all that is supporting our planetary galactics and cetaceans and spiritual hierarchy to exaggerate their experiences so that they become aware of it. It's like, no, this is not allowed anymore. You are getting a spanking. I'm being funny, but the divine is
No,
saying,
it's true.
no. Mm-hmm.
And how you brought up, which we've talked about so many wonderful things. I don't know how much time we have, but how the inside has to match the outside. And that's another mirror that's really coming up for people. If your life isn't aligned with love and peace inside and out, every aspect of you, that's coming out now for you to choose to fix it or not.
Yeah.
Especially relationships.
Yes, in every way. Every way. Yes. Ask a question. It was like a clean slate. The divine basically is saying no more nonsense. You know, we want, if you've chosen to live in the fifth dimension, we want you clean as a whistle by mid-September, and we want your work beginning, because ideally we should be beginning our work now. And we are delayed human races. We're slow.
Oh my
And
gosh.
oh my gosh, so there's nothing that we individually can do except send them and the fourth dimensional collective feeling world, love, light, and healing. Right? Love, light, and healing. Let's clear up the feelings. I call it the doubting Thomas.
Well, I did a channeling about the war. I sent it to you because I just couldn't believe that we are experiencing a war, right? Like we're so like I'm thinking we're so sophisticated. How could this happen? Well, probably about a year ago, I channeled about Jesus's crucifixion, that humans are basically so slow, as you just addressed, that we have to witness visceral suffering and experience visceral suffering to propel us to the change. And it's kind of sad, but that is the reality. We need this push-pull to make us evolve.
We do. And we need any politician or economic leader to stop promoting hate, because that is exactly what they're doing. Those that are creating war are promoting hate. And what we can do is visualize. It's like I love visualization. If we can visualize really not the reality of an atomic bomb, but imagine a cluster, a burst, a cloud, and fill it with gold. Shoot it with gold. Shoot that person, that political leader that is espousing hate with gold. I will fill your mouth with gold. I will wash your mouth, not with soap, like my mother would do, but with gold. I will fill your mind with gold. I will shoot you with gold.
I like to wrap them in gold too, right? Like,
yes,
let's just wrap everyone in light. And today, my mother and I were talking about the difference between facts and truth. And I think that's where we're losing perception of what the reality actually is, because the news or whoever, the politicians, aren't reporting facts. They're using ways to persuade people to believe in
Yes.
truth in a black and white way.
Yes. I will say that on my journey, most political leaders begin as light workers. And quite possibly the light worker may be in that environment to create chaos. So it's to look at things from many different angles. But what happens, or what I've seen that happens, is that that political leader or economic leader, socio leader becomes enticed. And in the enticement of power, greed, not having the will to stand ground, spirals and gets weaker and weaker. We've all experienced it in past lifetimes, and they are again experiencing it in this lifetime. It's very, very hard for one human to hold space, sacred, geometric space for a country. That person needs a team of light workers. Unfortunately, that team is infiltrated with everything.
Yeah.
So we just are going to watch this unfold and trust the Earth Mother will not allow another world war. She has said no. She has absolutely said, dictated, loud and clear, that will be removed before she goes asunder. She is tolerating nothing that is not compassion and kindness. She's done. And so we're going to experience all of this ego. And if we can watch the news and go, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to believe in anything right now. Because it feels like a giant washing machine. And everything's in the washing machine, just looping. That's all it's doing. They're stirring the pot. So my goal is to stay out of the pot.
And that's a beautiful way to wrap this conversation up.
Yay.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. And if anybody wants to contact these beautiful souls, I'll post their information below. And we'll maybe make this a monthly thing because it was kind of fun.
I loved it. It was wonderful.
Such great
Blessings to
conversation.
everybody.
Bye.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye.